So this one I think is a fun question. We're probably going to have different answers.
Yeah, this is the hardest one to me.
Who has the most wasted potential on the Detroit Pistons?
Oh man. I mean, that one's tough. I personally think I would lean towards a Marcus Sasser in my personal opinion. I think he's a player that, as of last year, I don't think we quite saw the full capabilities of what he can do. On top of that, I think in summer league, I wanted to see a lot more of his scoring capability, him as a shooter because I mean, if you saw what he did in college, like he is a smaller guard, but he's more of an off-ball guard and I get that if he's going to work in the league, he's probably going to have to be a little bit more of a traditional point guard. But in
Mhm.
my personal opinion, I think that's taking away from who Marcus Sasser is as a player. I think if they use him properly, and he is in the rotation and they do get him more off ball and set him up more as a scorer. We saw points last year, and I made a tweet that people just clowned on as the season went on where I think it was a night in Milwaukee where he just straight up looked like the second coming of Tyrese Maxey. And, like scoring wise, when Marcus Sasser gets going, and again, this is a lot of NBA players, right? But Marcus Sasser in particular has, that microwave type of scoring ability. And if used right, I think he can be a solid part of this rotation for years to come. If I could also, just see it not working out and having to go to a different situation. And especially it gets a little bit trickier when you have a change in the front office, when the people that are there are no longer the people that drafted you. That kind of changes, their commitment level, right? And also they might not have the same perspective on, Marcus Sasser as a player. But I think that, when you look at of the late first round picks from that draft class, like who are the ones that actually could come in and really produce in the league? I think Marcus Sasser is one of those guys. And I still think he could be a really good part, like really good player in the NBA and a really solid part of this team. I just don't know if they've used him properly.
Yeah, I not to like go on a whole tangent because I've done this on previous pods. I've always felt like the Pistons try to reinvent the wheel with any draft prospect they've had over the last 10 years. I vividly remember Sadiq Bey's rookie year. He was like a corner three specialist. And this year or this summer league, to your point, like Marcus Sasser is not a guy that you want to be a full-time point guard. I think there are moments where he can bring the ball up the court and he can distribute, but not every possession. To your point, the
Mhm.
Milwaukee game, that game lives in my head rent free. He was the best player on the court, and that's including Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard could not stay in front of him. He was just going absolutely berserk. The only reason why the Pistons came back was because of Marcus Sasser. I like your answer. I have a different one. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit higher on this guy than most. And mine is Jaden Ivy.
Mhm.
And I'll explain why with Jaden Ivy. I know we're kind of talking about like most overrated. We had him. I think his potential last year was a complete waste of not only his time, but a waste of a lot of people that tune in, lock in to watch Detroit Pistons basketball games. I thought him getting benched for Killian Hayes on paper, I was like, okay, you want another defender, cool. But Jaden Ivy should have been in the starting lineup next to Cade. And I'll give you my reason. There are still question marks with those two. There are
Mhm.
still question marks. Can they play together? Do they fit next to each other? Is it a bad fit? I think if you would have started those guys together, you would have a better understanding of, do I need to go out and get another shooting guard, or should I give him a contract extension next summer? That's why I think his potential last year was just completely wasted. Now, his rookie year was his rookie year. Nothing he could really do.
Mhm.
Cade getting injured, we understand that. He flourished as a point guard, had a really good rookie campaign, but I thought last season was just a complete waste of his time. And obviously, I know some people may think I'm a Jaden Ivey slappy, which I probably am. But I do like your Marcus Sasser pick. I think that's the right pick. But just for a guy that was like really, really high on Jaden Ivey, telling people like, look up for Jaden Ivey. He may be a guy that the Pistons look to draft if they do fall in the draft. But
Yeah.
that's my answer. But I absolutely
And
love the Marcus Sasser answer.
I wholeheartedly agree that, Jaden Ivey's potential has not been realized, and I think a lot of it is on the fault of the Pistons in certain ways. I think candidly, I think the reason, or I think the way that, Marv Monty Williams, oh my gosh, I just had a brain aneurysm there. But the way Monty Williams handled that situation last year is more than likely the reason that he is not here right now, right? And I think a lot of the people in the organization would definitely agree that the way that that was handled, it was a raw deal, for lack of better terms. And I think when you look at, I think when you look at one of the reasons why the Pistons have been so patient and why they're taking the slow route, it is because they want to see that potential realized, and they do want to see what a guy can do if he is handled properly, especially JB Bickerstaff, who in my opinion was wrongly fired from Cleveland. I think they just needed a new voice, but they got better every year he was there. But regardless, he's in Detroit now, and you look at his experience in being able to handle multiple guards who need the ball in their hands that play, kind of a different play style. I'm interested to see how he utilizes both Cade and Ivy, and I'm looking forward to seeing, if that is something that can be, overcome this season. Because again, I agree with you wholeheartedly. There is a lot of untapped potential when it comes to Jaden Ivey, and I hope it's realized in a Pistons uniform, because if not in Detroit, I could definitely see it being realized somewhere else.
Yeah, and then we don't. You know how Pistons fans go down that rabbit hole, and then it gets
Yep.
toxic.
Yep.
Ryan actually had a very good answer. I want to put it on the screen. Shout out to him.
Mhm.
He had Tobias Harris, actually. He's like, am I wrong to say Tobias? He's never Tobias. He has every intangible to be an all-star and never quite materialized. I like that answer personally.
Maybe throughout his career, but it may be in his first stint in Detroit, especially. But I would say for what you're bringing him in for right now at this stage, he's a veteran. He's like 30 plus years old. He's essentially here on a 2-year deal that you could get rid of at any point in time. He's essentially coming in to be that reliable veteran. I would agree that throughout his career, he probably didn't reach his full playing potential. But one thing you definitely can't say about Tobias Harris, and I actually mean this as like full credit, full respect, he certainly potentially exceeded his earning potential. He earned about what, $300+ million throughout his career, not to pocket watch, but I mean, one of the most handsomely paid players in the history of the NBA. I think Tobias Harris would say that he's had a phenomenal career.
I
He
know
might
Jeff.
not enter the hall, but he has halls of money.
I know Jeff Teague in his podcast, I think it's called the 520 Club podcast. Like they were saying, like Tobias Harris was the MVP of summer because of the bag he got. Like even though like he kind of underperformed in the playoffs for the 76ers, he still managed to get like 26 million. They're like
He's Kirk Cousins. He's
that's
Kirk
not
Cousins.
that's not a bad comp.
He comes out, he gives you exactly what you expect. He's not going to reach the level that you maybe think that he could. He's not the best when it comes to postseason time, but when it comes to getting to the negotiating table, he brings a lot of value. Teams realize it. And even if they're not going for a championship, they realize that he can help them go to another level. Whether he's the same guy that he used to be, we'll see. But unlike Kirk Cousins, he's not coming off of a torn Achilles.